Hey guys, I'm Will with jerkyholic.com. I'm going to show you how to make some jerky today. So start by cleaning your cutting board and your knife, and make sure you wash your hands really well. Go ahead and choose a lean cut of meat. Here I have an eye of round. This is my favorite cut when making beef jerky. And you're just going to want to start by trimming any of the visible fat. Fat will make jerky spoil faster, so the more you get off now, the longer your jerky will last after it's done drying. So try to get off as much as possible. Now when choosing how to slice your meat, you have two options. You can slice with the grain or against the grain of the meat. The grain is the direction the muscle fibers run within a piece of meat. So here they're running in the direction from the top to bottom of the screen. And when cutting in the direction of the muscle fibers, which is with the grain, your jerky will have more of a chew. And when cutting perpendicular to the grain, which is against the grain, the jerky will be more brittle and have an easier chew. So I like having a chewier jerky, so I'm slicing it with the grain here, and I'm just going to start by cutting the roast in half, make slicing consistent, even pieces easier. You could also wrap the roast in saran wrap and place it in the freezer for an hour or two. It will slightly harden it, and that also makes slicing strips easier. Since I'm using a sharp knife, I've decided not to slightly freeze the meat, so here I'm just slicing with the grain at about 1/4 of an inch. I would recommend anywhere between 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch when making jerky. So after you're finished slicing your meat, you're going to set the strips to the side and place them in the fridge, and we'll get started on the marinade. Okay, so let's get started making the dose pepper jerky marinade by adding the coriander, garlic powder, and onion powder into the bowl. Then add the black pepper and lemon pepper, and now a little sea salt and curing salt. And go ahead and mix this up. And we're going to add a little bit of water, and this just helps the marinade make it liquid and help it coat the strips better. And I like to dunk each individual strip in the marinade first before putting it in the bag. This just helps the pieces from sticking together, and also ensures that all of the strips are coated with the marinade really well. That way they will all taste great. So once the strips are coated and in the Ziploc bag, go ahead and pour the rest of the marinade in the bag, and we're just gonna mix that marinade up really well. And once it's mixed up, go ahead and close the Ziploc bag. And we're going to put this in the fridge and marinate it for anywhere from 6 to 24 hours. Okay, so our meat has been in the fridge for 16 hours. It's finished marinating. We're going to take it out and get rid of the excess marinade in a colander. And lay out a sheet of aluminum foil, and on top of that a layer of paper towels. Start putting your strips on the paper towels. The aluminum foil is there to prevent the marinade from soaking through to your counter, so it's easier for cleanup. So once you have all your strips laid out, get another layer of paper towels, and we're going to place that on top. And using your hands, just pat dry any marinade still on the strips. And this is going to help the drying process go a little faster. And so on this recipe, since I like a lot of pepper, I'm going to put a little more lemon pepper and also put a little more black pepper on the strips. And I'm just going to pat that in so it sticks to them really well. So go ahead and get your dehydrator trays out and start laying out your jerky on top. Make sure that when you're putting the strips on the trays, there's room between the pieces so they're not touching or overlapping, and this allows the air to flow throughout the racks to help dry the jerky evenly. Alright, so I have all the strips on the dehydrator trays. On top I have 1 pound of the dose pepper jerky, and on bottom another pound of a different recipe I'm testing out. So here I'm using the Nesco dehydrator. This dehydrator has a top mounted fan and heating unit, so it blows air directly down onto the strips. That's why I like putting an empty tray on top. It just acts as a buffer in between the heating unit and your first layer of jerky. To start this, you just put on top and turn the dial to 160 degrees. And this unit doesn't have an on or off switch, so you just plug it in. Now you're going to want to leave it at 160 for about 2 to 2.5 hours so the jerky will reach this internal temperature, killing off any potential bacteria in the meat. Okay, so the jerky's finished drying. It's been running for 5 hours. Ran it for 2.5 hours at 160 degrees and another 2.5 hours at 140 degrees. And we're going to check to see if it's finished. You want to unplug the machine and let the jerky cool for about 5 minutes, which I've already done. So go ahead and grab a piece of jerky, and to test it, we're going to bend it in half. And what you're looking for here is for when you bend it, for it to crack down the middle, which this jerky is cracked right here, but that it does not break in half totally. If it breaks in half, it's over dried. Now, since this jerky was sliced with the grain, it will bend a lot more than if it was sliced against the grain. So another great way of checking to see if it's finished is by ripping a piece in half and looking for these white fibers. And these white fibers tell you that the jerky is finished and it's ready to be eaten. So you can also let it cool for an hour, and after it's cooled down, store it in an airtight container. Okay, so thanks for watching, and make sure you stop by jerkyholic.com for more jerky recipes and information on making jerky.